All of the theories out there actually say the more you give, the more you're given. What's really dangerous is the other type of ignorant, arrogant people that love us so much that they're afraid of us. So they give us advice and they give us their opinion based off of fear.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Relief Podcast. My guest today, David Meltzer. David, welcome to episode 20.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I want to get right to the questions, rapid fire, because you're 1 year younger than Mike Tyson, and you're quick, and you move on your feet, and you're very adaptable. So let me ask you, how do you balance ambition and the pursuit of success with humility and the practice of being grounded and connected to goodness?
For me, it's a matter of time and understanding today we are in man-made constructive time for 24 hours, but in the realm of infinite time, meaning the meaning of the past, which is infinite, and the limits that we place upon our own self-image in the future, exists the ability to be humble, to work within a ferocious attitude during the day, each day, in a divine direction and divine time, without attaching our emotions to outcomes. So for me, I attach my energy and motion into the activities of each day, making sure I align the meaning of the infinite past with the self-image of the infinite future. And so for me, good behavior creates good progress and the outcomes are irrelevant.
That's wonderful. Um, when what are some of the practical steps that we can take daily to enhance our connection to this goodness and elevate our frequency?
For me, there's 5 daily practices that we can implement. First, knowing what you want each day in that divine direction, in the divine time. What do we want personally, experientially? What do we want giving wise? What do we want receiving wise? The second one is what, eh, who do, knowing our who can we help and who can help us? And then 3, knowing our how. How to utilize man-made constructive time to be productive, accessible, gracious, to take the activities we have planned, unplanned, the activities we get paid for, unpaid for, and even our sleep. Therefore, we'll know what's important each day to us by knowing our what, knowing our who, knowing our how. We now will know our now, which allows us to prioritize by importance. It also allows us to align the meaning of the past, as well as direct us into that divine direction without creating interference of our own ignorance through the interference that we create. So instead of trying to find our why each day in this precious time in these daily practices of knowing our what, our who, our how, and our now, we are applying our why as the 5th daily practice. We're shifting a paradigm. Instead of trying to get more out of every day, we already know we have it and connected to goodness. We just figure out what we're doing to interfere with that connection.
Yeah, and right now we're in a world of uncertainty, right? So how would you recommend that we kind of clear these distortions from our mindset and our activity in order to focus on what's most important in growing into our purpose?
Yeah, well, the thoughts about our purpose are our purpose. And as you know, there's always uncertainty. In fact, if anybody out there can guarantee what's going to happen tomorrow, I know how to make billions of dollars. I'll share it with you, but I haven't found one person on earth that can guarantee me what's going to happen tomorrow. So what we really want to do is understand that uncertainty is a dependent variable along with time being a dependent variable. And therefore, we should focus on the present. Once again, not only aligning the meaning or the finding through gratitude and forgiveness, the light, the love, and the lessons of our past, but also to have faith from that wisdom that we have learned from the past. That faith will get us to where we want or better. You see, to shorten that distance of resistance, to shorten the amount of time that we spend in uncertainty, to shorten the amount of time we spend in interference, we have to utilize wisdom, which only comes from the past, and faith, which we provide for the future. And so if we want to shorten the distance, we need to use wisdom and faith in order to do so.
Yeah, and then as you said a lot in your work is, action comes before the belief.
Yeah, nothing happens until it moves. That's why I studied my partner over here. This old guy, Albert Einstein, talks about nothing happens until it moves. And so I always believe that when we understand the magical formula to luck, meaning what we pay attention to, and what we give intention to, what we do, say, think, feel, and believe, aligned with the divine direction in the divine time, it will equal the results. It will equal the coincidences, the coinciding of the universe, and therefore we will receive all that we've been given.
And that speaks to, I guess parallels with the quantum, how, we're both students and have met Bob Proctor. And in terms of creating a new reality, it starts with our thoughts. Um, speak to like the untapped potential that's even within yourself, right? Because even as a David, right? Because we've both been to Italy, and we've both been shaped by Michelangelo's in the form of teachers and mentors who've challenged us and pushed us to our new stretch points. Um, Talk about the David that we may see next year in 5 years. Like, what's the new evolving version of you that we're looking forward to seeing?
For me, it's understanding the infinite in itself and understanding the more that I live in the world of more than enough and understand the infinite, abundant, unified system of thought that I belong to, as Bob Proctor has taught me, that has enough power that pushes through just my pinky to light up all of Manhattan. When I think about the potential of me, I and I, Adonai, whatever it may be, when I think of that potential, what I'm focused in on, what am I doing to interfere with that potential? And even in fact, if I spend the majority of my days in that guaranteed 24 hours that I'm given every single day of my life, except for the last day of my life, I'll be cheated. But beyond that, when I think of the David in the future, I think about if I'm living in the infinite, then I really have to realize that everything I do, say, think, feel, and believe is limiting in itself. Therefore, I've reached an extended version of Dave, an expanded version of Dave that says, hey, what limiting beliefs, thoughts, words, actions actually serve me best because all actions, words, thoughts, beliefs, and feelings are limiting. I am now to a point where I'm prioritizing the limitations to see what best serves me to get to my potential and being realistic in the infinite and understanding the limitations that will always be present in the infinite, abundant, unified system that I belong to.
Wow, that's a lot to process, and definitely resonates with a lot of us. And another thing that really stood out from the book in your story is how kind of similar to Les Brown, you stepped into your greatness when your leader fell into alcoholism. So when Lee kind of fell to his vices for a period, but not for good, and hit that rock bottom, how did you go about stepping up into that role of CEO?
Yeah, so when Lee Steinberg, went public, that was well after when I was dealing, with his alcoholism, with his disease, and so I had to step up, but also, being CEO of the world's most notable sports agency, I had to protect the brand and protect Lee's brand, and so a lot of blame, shame, and justification was coming down on not only I, but Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon, who were in best intentions trying to save Lee as well as protect his brand at the same time. So it was a very complex situation. And I had to put Lee, his health, and his family, and also his monetary brand first while I was leading the most notable sports agency in the world. And if it wasn't for Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon, who helped as, I called him QB1 Kenobi because of his great wisdom as a Star Wars character, helped guide, young Luke Skywalker, David Skywalker, into an outer space that I never imagined we'd be in.
Wow. So it's teamwork that makes the dream work.
It was teamwork and it was, having good intentions and everything, like you said, worked out extremely well for Lee, for Warren, and myself.
Wow. And then it expanded where you are. And what I really want to ask you is, when did you get into the culture of just giving, like being the consummate, consistent go giver?
I was born into that, energetically and genetically, but it really what made the transformative difference in my life wasn't the giving. It was raising my awareness to what was given and also feeling worthy of receiving what was given and even more worthy of asking for more. You see, I was living in a zero sum game that so many first responders, teachers, humanitarians, all types of, a lot of moms live in this world where they believe automatically the more you give, the more you receive. But that's not true. All the religious texts, spiritual texts, theoretical texts, quantum texts, all of the theories out there actually say the more you give, the more you're given. But most people aren't aware of all they're given, and 2, they don't feel worthy of receiving it, and 3, they're afraid to ask for more, so they give 100%, they only receive 98% back. Now their 100% is what used to be 98%, and pretty soon, they're in a zero-sum game, which Bob Proctor talked about, and they end up at 0, trading and negotiating giving, thinking and expecting in return for giving, they're deserving or entitled to something to be compensated for what they've given. But instead, in the abundant, unified, infinite system that we talked about earlier, it is truly to live in a world of more than enough of everything for everyone. When you give, you're given more. You then can receive more, and then you ask for more than more. Now you're giving more than more. You're given more than more. You receive more than more. Now you ask for more than more than more. So instead of ending up at 0, you can see you end up in the world of more than enough of everything for everyone.
I mean, there's abundance for all, and you know, based on conditioning, culture, environment, or mental, we do limit ourselves, I have fallen deep victim to that many times. So it's good to kind of come out of that and see the light. And so I praise you as kind of like a modern day Hephaestus, if you're a student of Greek mythology.
Yeah,
He may not be the prettiest guy, but he did land in Aphrodite, and so
I did.
but you are
I did as well. As you can see that picture over my right shoulder.
you've done tremendously well, and, you've transformed the power of fire, creativity, craftsmanship, and technology, and also the idea of resilience, and perseverance in the face of adversity. Um, how do and even, whether it be even parents that marginalize us, and try to shrink our growth. How do you suggest to others who are listening to kinda press away and not let those forces bother their growth?
Yeah, there's 2 forces that are labeled the same thing, and the force of ignorant arrogance is a force in which we put too much intention and intention on as well, and it carries forth within the automatic system of our subconscious mind that hosts 40,000 of the same thoughts. Unfortunately, 80% of them negative, unfortunately, repetitive in nature. And so understanding how this negativity works within the context of ignorant arrogance. One, the people that are projecting their hurt onto us, the hurt people that are hurting people. But those people are obvious. They're really not that dangerous because we assume that hurt people, and we can decipher that somebody's that hurt is reaching out and trying to hurt us. What's really dangerous is the other type of ignorant, arrogant people that love us so much that they're afraid of us. So they give us advice and they give us their opinion based off of fear because they love us more than they love themselves. And we assume because they love us so much that the advice that they give us, that the attacks that we're receiving are to protect us, promote us, and serve us. But in actuality, any fear based advice will not protect and promote us. And so, what we have to do is learn to understand, not project our ignorant arrogance, whether it's out of hurt or love, both have a counterintuitive, kind of productive effect or impact on our subconscious mind to reinforce the negativity that's repetitive in our subconscious nature.
It's almost like being a gardener, right? And always pulling up weeds, right? It never stops.
Never stops. And it's okay. It's how much time are you spending in the weeds and how much time are you spending in the glory of the sunshine and the blades of grass and the flowers, all of the other great things that exist within the field.
Absolutely. And you've mentioned a lot that, sharing humility, right? Your story of humility, that, you had a time when you lost your Midas touch and your pride was humbled. And if it were not for friends like Joe Hennessy, Steve Wynn, and others, and those relationships, it may have taken longer than ever to come back to where you are. So, talk about the value of building good relationships.
Well, it's interesting because depending on the subject, the topic, or the expertise that you're looking for a team to be around, I think it's important to understand that you don't have to or can't be the point guard on every team. Sometimes you got to have a better team to be the sixth man on instead of a lesser team to be the point guard on. And so the relationships that you have to analyze under the context of how does this feed me? How relative is it? And what association do I have according to the subject matter, topic, or expertise that I'm working within? And so, although people say you're the aggregate of the five people around you, I expand that out and say, look, are you the sixth man on the most relative associated teams that you need to be on? Or are you the point guard on the teams that maybe you need to be leading as well? And so, yes, you are the aggregate of those five people, but there's several different teams that you play on from an activity you get paid for team. Maybe you have a golf team. Maybe you have your family team. Maybe you have your spiritual team. So, what I suggest you do is heighten your awareness and understand how important it is to surround yourself people that feed you and that you feed, that are most relative to the subject matter, topic, or expertise, and associated with a higher level of people, a higher neighborhood, a higher frequency aligned with the topics, the subject matter, and expertise that you're playing on that team.
Right. And, similar to like, John Gordon's energy bus, at some point you got to keep up to these standards or you're off the team.
Yeah, you got to play on the right team, and so many people, like I said, they they don't they hear that you're the aggregate of five people, and they forget that what if you play four sports? What if you play 40 sports? You may be on the best basketball team and be the sixth man, but if all you hang out with are those five players, they're not those, five other basketball players are gonna really stink if you're a jockey as well, and you're looking for a 5'2", 110-pound, jockey to play on that team with as well.
I like the team that you have. I mean, I came to visit your place in SoFi, and, you have your 2 daughters on the team, you have Nick there, you got others there. Like, how do you foster a culture where, where people just work in cohesion and good harmony?
So you have to focus in on training and working with and supervising three different things. One, values. So we're extremely repetitive and enforce and endorse key values into the company, which are gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and effective communication. You have to hone in onto the daily practices that best suit the behaviors in the alignment with what the team wants to be or better. And then finally, you have to adhere and impress upon people an execution model that is aligned with the divine time and divine direction of the collective belief of the company. And so I focus a majority of my time on training values, daily practices, and execution model.
And that's what works. And I like that, how you just execute things. Now you were able to get a few podcasts done within the same day. I think it's very forward thinking to have, your office set up right there at the sports stadium. It's completely out of the box, and it brings up just a wonderful energy to the space. So, kudos to that. If I may shift, where do you see, in the next, like, let's say, year or two, um, global trends towards, influencers and how, how people kind of chase popularity and followings on social media. Do you feel it's going to be more about following, or the strength will be in impactful people?
Both, there's always models, right? Whatever medium, there's always been people who have influence because of what they look like or what profession they have. And so those are influencers, usually spreading disease. I also know that There's impactful people today, the influencers of the world. And everybody has their own social silo. And the popularity contest that exists within influence will always be there. They'll have a very large social silo, just like the actors and entertainers and models that have graced our presence in person and on newspapers and radio and TV. It's never going to change. And so it's understanding your essence, your skills, your knowledge, and your desire of who you want to attract and empower to empower others, to empower others. I prefer my frequency is my neighborhood. So I'm looking for more ambassadors. I'm obviously not someone that you could consider to be a model of any sort, entertainer or an athlete, but I am extremely impactful and empowering with the actions, the words, the beliefs, the thoughts that I help to engender into people's mind to change the way they look at things so that things they look at change. But I don't think it's going to stop. Influencer, you take your choice. Know that there's a larger total addressable community than ever before, and you will be the host of your own social silo that is coordinated and collaborated with your own essence, your skills, your knowledge, and your desire.
Right. So it's kind of like choose your side and lean into it.
Yes, sir. I have time for one more question, my friend.
Well, so to close this out, you speak a lot about the women in your life, and both of us are professed mama's boys, right? And you have 3 daughters. So speak about the influence of women in your life. And
Well, probably is the most important influence in my life, starting with my mom, then my wife, and now my 3 daughters. I wouldn't be here but for my mom, my wife, and my 3 daughters. I would not be half the man that I am, even if I stayed alive, without my mom, my wife, and my 3 daughters. Uh, Not to discount how important my one son is, who's 14 years old yesterday, but most importantly, uh, the truth and my love that's unconditional for all of those women, as they have shown me, taught me, empowered me to the definition of unconditional love, has impacted me, and that will always be. And I am always a mama's boy. I do want to offer that book Behind You to your entire community. So if anybody would like Connected to Goodness, I will sign it, send it to you, pay for shipping and the book. Uh, Everything on me. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com, or Google my name, David Meltzer, and I will send you that book. Pay for the book and shipping for anyone in your community, Demetri. And what a great interview. Thank you so much for having me.
thank you, David. Infinite gratitude for all you do, and many miles ahead. Happy birthday to your son, and all the best this year and beyond.
Vice versa. God bless everyone.